Thank you very much. I'll keep my talk short out of necessity because I need to leave before 1 o'clock. Thank you very much. I had asked for a cup of chai, and that was for a short demonstration, not that I was on a caffeine low. Thank you. Okay, so as I was listening to the speakers, Professor Mahadevan and Professor Bhushan, there's a very famous verse from Natya Shastra which goes like this: Yato hasta tato drishtihi. To invoke your attention, I use my hands. Right? So when I say hi, someone there looks at me. So the first way in which you sort of notify someone is using your hands. Yato hasta tato drishtihi. I get your attention from your eyes to my hands. Yato hasta tato drishtihi, yato drishtih tato manaha, yato manah tato bhavaha, yato bhavas tato rasaha. So at the end we conclude by saying from hand to heart to the emotion to the maybe rasa means hormones there. There's a connection, and we saw this connection through the nritya of two of our fantastic speakers. The first speaker didn't use any slides, and the second speaker didn't let me see any slides with his fantastic eloquence. And if we dig a little deeper into this little verse that I mentioned just now, it simply says that you can sort of secrete hormones through nritya, right? You can secrete hormones through just stage performance. And I have been very curious to understand if this can be applied to our teaching. And I've been trying a level best all my life as a teacher, rather a poor teacher, poor in every sense of the word, in terms of performance as well as the CTC that a teacher gets, to understand if the Navarasas can come into the classrooms. And when I started looking at the excerpts from Natya Shastra, I increasingly felt that this is something that all teachers should know. It should not be PowerPoint, which is point of power. It should be the person talking who should be the point of power. In this connection, I just saw a fantastic demonstration of two great professors this morning. My pranams to them, and with their blessings, I would like to start my little talk. I would like to start my talk with a fantastic experiment that a well-known statisticians conducted long back, not very long back in terms of the timeline that Professor Mahadevan was mentioning just now. I'm holding a cup of tea, and as I'm sipping the tea, I'm smelling the tea, right? I taste the tea, and I figure out the chai is fantastic. Now there was this lady who would prepare tea, the Brit way, the British way. I'm from Punjab. There we do what is called doodh patti. You put some chai ki patti in milk and keep condensing it so that it becomes sweet basically at the end. Right? And you consume it like dessert. But generally tea is prepared the following way. You get what is called the tea syrup, the decoction as we call it. And this very decoction is prepared by putting tea leaves into water. Basically, I'm going to tell you 2 stories and 3 inferences, that's all. This is story number 1. This lady would put tea leaves into water and then take milk and pour milk into the syrup. I hope it's clear to all of you how I'm here to tell you all. From Ropar, I have traveled to tell you how to prepare tea. Right? And then the lady would say, if you take the syrup and take milk and put milk into the syrup, you get tea type 1. You take tea and you take the syrup and put that into milk, you get chai type 2. A doodh patti is a chai type 3, probably only we know in this part of the country. And this lady once surprised a famous statistician and said, the reason why you are not liking chai is because the syrup was poured into milk and not the other way around. If milk is poured into syrup, it tastes better. The statistician says, what an unscientific take on making chai. How do you know that this tastes better than this? Both are one and the same. If I give a talk from this side of the auditorium or from that side of the auditorium, it's the same. Then I hail from South India, we know very well that it is sambar rice, rasam and curd rice and then dessert. You change the order, the food will not taste good for you. Right? Order is important to a large extent. And this famous statistician called Fisher said, let's conduct an experiment. Let us take several glasses of chai, as you can see. Some of them are prepared by pouring syrup into the milk, and some of them was prepared by putting milk into the syrup. And come on, lady who prepares chai, who seems to be an expert in preparing chai, you tell me which one is what. And this was the birth of controlled, double-blinded experiments, and the lady spectacularly detects which ones had this way and which ones had this way. And Fisher is spellbound. And then she says, maybe it will take 1,000 years for your science to figure out why this is happening, but for me, it is just mere observation. Like Professor Mahadevan was saying, a grandmother will know what is a solution for what kind of a problem. Now, should I wait for science to prove that this way is tastier than this way? Until then, I will not have chai. Until then, order doesn't matter for me. Story number one. Story number two. Cow is walking, as we call Gomata, as Westerners call it holy cow for whatever reasons. They use it as an abuse as well. As it goes, it puts a share of cow dung. And someone long ago realized that taking that cow dung and patting it on the wall in a circle of whatever constant radius and drying it up for some time becomes. The modern kids probably do not know this. At least in my generation, I have seen my own grandma doing it. Pat it, dry it, and it can be used as fuel. Right? Now let me pause and then ask, is there scientific evidence that this can be used as a fuel? As again Professor Mahadevan was saying, proof of the pudding is in its eating. I'm not saying eat this. I'm only saying that put this to use, see if it burns, and see if it gives you dew drops in your eyes. If it doesn't, then it's a great fuel. Now, story number one told us that empirical observation is more important than scientific observation, because empirical observation is easy to see. Scientific evidence will take a long time. You should not probably wait. Maybe we don't have the senses to come out with a scientific conclusion of this very experiment. Maybe some people, whenever I give a talk on this, some chemists, some biochemists, say that there is some evidence for it and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's about my chai. The chai that I drink should help me write the next research paper. Otherwise, the chai is useless for me. If this order is better, I will use this order than this order. The story number two says that here is a way where someone took cow dung, tapped it on the wall in a circular shape, dried it enough that it became fuel. Who patented this? Who published the first paper? Who waited for science to tell us that this is what will give you fuel? With that, I walk into another territory of what we popularly call the Einstein's theory. It's a fun sort of pun-intended theory. It's not the special theory or general theory of relativity. It's the fact that you go on the timeline of life and kill Einstein. Rather, stop him from taking birth or ensure that his parents don't get married for whatever reasons. It's a very evil thought experiment. Or go to Isaac Newton's time and then say, Isaac Newton should not be born. Do you think gravity wouldn't be known? Assume I went and stopped from Isaac Newton from finishing his education, or made him a carpenter, or made him a businessman, or made him a software engineer, as Professor Mahadevan was saying. Right? Do you think we wouldn't know G equals 9.8 meters per second square? This is popularly called the Newton hypothesis. The hypothesis itself is called Newton's hypothesis, where Newton himself said, I stand on the shoulder of giants and that is why I stand tall. By that we mean any scientist is dispensable. If not Newton, someone would have done it. If nobody has done it, me and you can throw a ball from first floor and see the seconds it takes and go to the second floor and then the seconds it takes. It is not 2 times the time it takes on the first floor, and we see that, oh, there is some eureka moment here. You don't need Archimedes to say eureka. Right? If not for Einstein, we would have probably had theory of relativity in some time. Or as our eminent speaker said, probably we already knew it. What was that? Path balancing, the path theory? Path dependency. Probably the delta piling up did not happen, and we forgot what was the sequence of things that led to that. With these two stories, I would now like to tell you a small incident that happened when I visited an Ayurvedic doctor who saw my uncle, said your Prakriti type is this, so on and so forth. You must avoid this kind of food. You have this kind of problems. And he was perfectly right. And I was surprised, as our first speaker was talking today, genome to ohm, where these kind of studies are getting popular and prominent. When I went and spoke to him, this is so easy to test using hypothesis testing, confidence interval, Cherno's bound, whatever theory I knew, my syllabus, I told him, and he said, get lost. I don't want science to tell me that chai tastes better. I will taste chai and see whether chai tastes better. Why should you come and tell me through science that chai tastes better? I have been treating so many patients all my life. I know the Prakriti of this person. I know what kind of ailments he suffers, and I can give him the customized medicine, like how sir you were talking this morning. And now the big question starts. We need to put all these things together to see the big picture. Number one, the lady making tea example. Number two, the patting of the gobar example. Should we wait for science? And number three, if not for Einstein, someone else could have done it. Put all these things together, we have a spectacular inference. And one civilization, I see these little YouTube shorts where a Ferengi goes on with a mic and then asks, do you know the oldest religion in the world? And many of them get it wrong. And half of them were Indians who don't know what is the oldest living religion till date. Right? That religion or that civilization or that group of people who have not seen calamities or a lot of invasions probably had enough time to come out with the gobar patted on the wall, blah, 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 and chai this way, that way, what kind of medicine treats what kind of people. It's a very, 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 very long process. It's all a matter of time. Put a bunch of ants in a place, they make a huge comb out of ant colony out of the place. It's all a matter of time. A bunch of people made a huge colony out of the place, left undisturbed, and we have come out with so many ideas. And now comes the problem. The problem is, science is tough to replicate. The double slit experiment, if you should do it today, you need a lot of resources. At least I think you need a lot of resources. But some simple ideas of Ayurveda, I can simply learn and become a charlatan and start treating people and be an imposter and try to make money out of it. The Vastu Shastra that Professor Mahadevan was saying is precisely the problem that we have, that anybody can start talking about it and they can fool people very quickly. Right? You give me a certificate, all right, I can fake a certificate today, and finally I can become whatever you want me to become, the astrologer or astronomer or whatever you call it. So you need a university system, and that university system that we had, the typical Guru Shishya Parampara, all got messed up. And unless we have that back, we don't have a certifying system of who is genuine and who is not. And me being a computer scientist, I'm coming and talking about BKS. What authority do I have? What studies have I done to claim something? Now I want to probably publish in a peer-reviewed journal on my findings, and here comes another problem, which I'm sure Professor Ram Subramaniam would enumerate more. I have had this conversation with him close to a decade before, and the biggest problem we face here is we will be called pseudoscientists immediately. The moment we publish one paper talking about anything ancient, anything that is old is gold kind of they put us into a bucket and say, this person belongs to this category. We will not talk science to him. No more projects for him, no more funding for him. So in this correction, I come from IIT Ropar. We have taken a very, very significantly focused project on food. Mainly because we observe that this very story of correlation is what is making news today. I'm from CSE department. If I don't talk CSE, I mean, I'm not using my qualification. You see? It is this very idea that is making news today. The whole idea of you walk into a TV showroom based on what watch you are wearing, based on whether you are scratching your cheek or not, based on what shoes you are wearing, based on your facial expression, one can detect what is the amount of money you can spend on the television. What's your budget? We can estimate. In fact, we do this toy exercises in our classroom when we teach artificial intelligence. That's probably the first chapter that we cover. Not only that, we use your vulnerability by predicting your budget is 50,000, but I can trick you to buy something worth 1.5 lakhs because you have no interest EMI. And I know very well you can succumb to it. And your very behavior tells me that your budget is X, but you can go up to 3X. How vulnerable will you get in case this happens as you enter into the place? Now, pause and think, why am I giving this example? Looking at the way you scratch, the way you move your eyebrows, your facial expression, the shoes you're wearing, the shirt you're wearing, I can infer something about you. And this inference is so, sorry for the language here, it's goddamn unscientific. How do you know that the shoes I wear has any correlation with the TV that I'm going to buy? But then, have you seen this in Amazon? People who bought this also bought this. Now, how unscientific is that? I will buy Resnick and Halliday physics book, and then I will buy Sir's very book, which I'm going to order on Amazon very soon, right? Genome to Ohm. How do you know that people who buy this also? Most people who bought this is what they say. The big Netflix several $1 million challenge was that person who watched this movie will watch what kind of a movie? Will you like Kalki movie or not? Tell me what you have watched in the past 1 month. I will tell you conclusively your rating of Kalki movie. And most of the times I am right. The point is most of the time. The vulnerability on YouTube short is also a correlation. Scientifically no evidence. We do not know why you will like that YouTube short, but open YouTube. After 20 minutes you will forget why you came to YouTube. You go on scrolling, doom scrolling, you go on scrolling, and at the end, you're wasting your time. And brilliantly, there's a video that pops up which says, how not to waste your time on YouTube. And this you cannot miss. You have to watch it. And then comes your whatever science you're studying, whatever subjects you're mugging up for your exam, how to ace an exam, YouTube shorted. And this is exactly the algorithm that they use. They don't go at the neuron level, pluck out your skull, and then see what neuron results in what, and what kind of a movie will you like. No, it's all correlational studies. Precisely what we have been doing in the name of astrology, precisely what we have been doing in the name of conventional medicine. I call it Ayurveda, call it Nati medicine, call it Siddhar medicine, right? Observation for a long time in a civilization that stood the test of time, had the time to put gobar and then say, this can be used as fuel. Now, every time someone proposes something like this, we ask for evidence. And the recent Nobel Prize in Physics and Chemistry was not for any scientist, in my humble opinion, it was for prediction systems, it was for AI, right? You use AI, let it be unscientific, it is going to tell you the answer, it will tell me what shirt you will wear next. I become a businessman, I will use AI. As long as these things are economically lucrative, it will come our way. If it's not financially lucrative, it will not come our way, is what we were discussing this morning as well. For years to come, I am sure one kind of medicine will be popular. Other kind of medicine will not be popular. I'll give you a quick example and then conclude my talk. One kind of medicine is, of course, a quick fix. One of the best mornings in the past several years has been this morning, listening to eminent speakers on Fevi-Quick. You quickly fix things. You don't want a longer fix. I ask a random student here. We have 2 centers in our IIT. We have internship opportunities for you people. How many of you want to come for AI in healthcare internship? Raise your hand. AI in healthcare, students only. AI in healthcare internship. Looks like there are very few students here. Assume you're a student and raise your hand. AI in healthcare, how many of you will be interested? Okay. AI in food, how many will be interested? This experiment always tells me that there's a disproportionate 1:10. 10 people will say, I will be AI in healthcare. I don't want to. AI in food, sir. आप क्या मुझे किसान बना रहे हो? आप farmer बनना है मुझे. I mean, being a farmer is very derogatory, but being a person with an apron coat, you come very close. Sir, I had to do my MBBS, I couldn't do it, so I joined this BTech program in this nondescript college. So I want to get back to my cousin and tell them that I can also be a doctor. Now, one side is preventative medicine called food. On the other side is a whatever, dash, 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 aka maybe even lobby, we don't know. On the other side is another, AI in making an Iron Man, everyone is interested. But on this side, AI in food, not many are interested. Now the point is, I very, very intensely see that if there is one field that will give answers to all the questions that we have been asking, it is probably the science that's emanating out of AI. There's a science that's emanating out of it. We don't understand it. We are observing that this is giving me money, I will use it. YouTube Shorts giving me money, I'll use it. Insta friend suggestion, Insta reel suggestion, recommendation systems. It is giving me money, I will use it. Science ko goli maro, koi baat nahi. As long as I am getting the money, I don't care about science. But then here, if that science can come this side and tell us what is what, it's going to be a huge victory. At the same time, people have been discussing about the dangers of AI. There has been this belief that Kavach is always easier than the sword in the making, right? So you cannot trick someone in the online chess game. The science of it is very well understood. If you're using an AI engine, I can detect very easily. If you're using an AI engine to fake your face and identity, tomorrow I go and meet Professor Mahadevan at IIT Bombay. He says, I am Bangalore, I'm sorry. He will say, how do I know that I know you? And I show him a selfie that I took with him. And he'll say, this can be a fake selfie. Right? The science of certifying something seems to be very well understood, that you cannot fake certain things. The thief and cop model, cop somehow has an upper hand. And this science of finding out who is the cop, who is the thief, if very well understood, probably will save the BKS from its lost glory, is my humble observation. Hopefully in the next few years to come, we'll make it happen. And it's my humble request also to many of you to be part of this food-related AI investigation that we are trying to do at IIT Ropar by considering the conventional practices and trying to see if this kind of a food actually results in this kind of a character, if this kind of a food actually grows in this kind of a place, not with finance, returns as the maximizing function, but as health of the place as the maximizing function. Thank you all very much. At the end, I would like to thank Professor Watts, who called me many times for the college. I could not come, but after coming here and seeing so many people with this kind of an inclination, I would say I would be more than interested to spend a good chunk of my time helping the institute in whatever way it's possible. Swami Vivekananda, J.D. Krishnamurti, as well as several philosophers have said, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan have made the same quote: if it takes for you to sweep the doors of an office to make it become better, go sweep. Right? I'm ready to sweep a place like this. If that's the part of the ecosystem I can get, I'll be very happy, sir. Thank you very much. Great to see a wonderful initiative like this being so successfully carried out at WIPS. Thank you all very much.